And let me commend the previous speakers who have very diligently and inspiringly dealt with the manifesto, and how beautiful is it to observe that we in the NDC, we continue to engage the Ghanaian people on sound policies. We are a party of ideas, and anytime we are engaging the Ghanaian people, it is about our manifesto. We do not go into hallucinations about who is killing what pastor, who is demolishing mosques, and all of that. We don't engage in those hallucinations. We speak to ideas, we speak to our manifesto, and we speak to the forward march of our country. As has been indicated, we are very deliberate in our manifesto about promoting good governance and combating corruption. All of what has been discussed, if we do not have a leader who will anchor every other sector, every other policy proposition on good governance, we cannot achieve our objectives. Without good governance, corruption will reign supreme, nepotism will be the order of the day, cronyism will run amok, and opportunities that must come to all Ghanaians will be denied the people of this country. Only a few will benefit. And that is why we in the NDC are talking about resetting Ghana. Our manifesto is anchored on resetting Ghana. Those who are talking about an upgrade, what upgrade simply means is that we want to come and worsen the current debilitating conditions. We want to come and worsen your plight. How can you upgrade corruption? How can you upgrade state capture? How can you upgrade cronyism? How can you upgrade nepotism? How can you upgrade hardships? How can you upgrade economic crisis? What this country needs is a total U-turn, a total overhaul, a total reset. That is why throughout the nook and crannies of our country, the NDC manifesto has been so embraced, so welcomed. I was observing recent polls that you in the media have been carrying out on which of the manifestos offers hope, which of the manifestos do the Ghanaian people believe will be transformative and response to the needs of the people. And I'm not surprised that all the polls, overwhelmingly, the NDC manifesto has emerged victorious as a manifesto that resonates with the people. So I'll run through our big ticket items on governance and combating corruption. Number one, key amongst them, constitutional reforms. If you read the NDC Resetting Ghana Manifesto, President Mahama is pledging major constitutional reforms. Fortunately for the NDC, Professor John Evans Atta-Mills has done the heavy lifting. God bless his soul. May his soul rest in perfect peace. He set up the Constitution Review Commission. Over 700 pages of work conducted. President Mahama is saying that his mentor's work will not go waste. Remember that before we left office, he set up a Constitution Implementation Committee chaired by Professor E.V.O. Dangwa. Unfortunately, the Akufo-Addo government abandoned constitutional reform. We are saying that we are going to go back to the Constitution Review Commission's report, go back to the Professor E.V.O. Dankwa's Implementation Committee report, and we will implement the recommendations. These proposals will be anchored on reducing the power of the president. Many experts, many governance analysts have decried the overbearing nature of the Constitution, which creates an imperialist president, a president who has so much power and is virtually uncontrolled. It is only in the NDC that you can find presidents who will say that even though the Constitution gives us so much power, we want to curtail those powers. So Professor Mills set up the Constitution Review Commission. President Mahama set up the Constitution Implementation Committee. And again, President Mahama is saying that he is going to go back to constitutional reforms, conclude the work that was started. And we are really glad about that. Some of the things you will see at the end of this constitutional reform process is that, for example, we are going to have MMDCs elected. We are no longer going to appoint them. For example, you are going to see at the end of this constitutional review process that Parliament is going to be strengthened. That constitutional provision which says that majority of ministers should come from Parliament is going to stop, so that you decide. You either want to be a legislator or you want to be an executive. The president is also then going to have a free hand to appoint ministers from everywhere. Best brains, best expertise to help him develop this country. He is not going to be restrained because of the constitutional provision. Key amongst the constitutional review items that you can expect is that President Mahama is saying that we are going to take a second look at Article 71 of our Constitution. So ex gratia will be abolished. He does not believe that we should continue with this practice of ex gratia to a few Article 71 office holders. And in the process, he is going to put together the Presidential Emoluments Committee, combine that with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. So we have one body. So we don't have two class of workers in our country. Article 71 workers who are treated specially and differently, and then the rest of the Ghanaian workforce. So these are some of the key highlights that you are going to see at the end of the constitutional reforms that are going to take place under incoming President John Dramani Mahama, inshallah. When you also read the manifesto, President Mahama is promising a new paradigm of ethical and incorruptible leadership. He says that he is going to lead by example. So the fight against corruption is not going to be fighting the corruption of my predecessor. Everything that happens by my appointees, I am a clearing agent, so I don't see it. President Mahama is saying that he will not be a clearing agent. He will expect the highest standard of ethical and incorruptible leadership. If you cannot meet that gold standard, then you have no business serving in his government. And I think that we have to applaud President Mahama for that. President Mahama is also saying that he is going to drastically reduce the size of government by appointing not more than 60 ministers. And you've heard him say this time without number. He's very passionate about it. In addition to that, if you read our manifesto, some people had 60 and then they ran to go implement, to go and announce 50. When they are the people with the worst record under this fourth Republican dispensation, appointing over 100 ministers. But you see, they just stop at 50 ministers. We go beyond. The NDC manifesto is saying that we are going to streamline and realign the government. There is no reason why we should have a separate ministry for railway and transport, a separate ministry for sanitation and local government, separate ministry for tourism and chieftaincy. President Mahama is saying we are going to do major realignment, streamlining of all of these ministries. Then in addition to that, he doesn't stop there. The lean and efficient government that President Mahama is talking about. He is also saying that all of these amorphous presidential staffers who have mushroomed overnight, and we have been raising concerns in Parliament, they don't listen to us. As we speak, some of the portfolios of these presidential staffers, when you hear it, you collapse. Ghana is currently paying somebody who calls himself a diaspora church mobilization officer. Can you believe that? He's also a presidential staffer who is mobilizing the churches all over the world. And only Ghana must pay for it. He didn't go to the UN so that we all contribute, so that all governments, all countries will contribute. Only Ghana is paying for a diaspora church mobilization officer. Ghana is paying somebody at the presidency called an ambassador for diaspora youth affairs. Can you believe that? When we have a foreign minister, 2 deputies, we have 63 diplomatic missions across the globe. Yet we have to pay somebody at the presidency to mobilize the youth in the diaspora. President Mahama is saying that he's going to cut out all of this waste. All of these amorphous and nebulous and totally useless positions are going to be removed. And he's going to run the most efficient and lean government in the history of our country. The other thing that has excited a lot of Ghanaians under the governance thematic area of the manifesto is ORA, Operation Recover or Loot. President Mahama is saying that the next NDC government is going to ruthlessly and uncompromisingly pursue accountability by launching inquiries and forensic audits with the view of recovering all the loot. So we are serving a clear notice to all those looters who think that they are going to keep the loot. The Ghanaian people are saying that they are going to vote for the NDC so that we will recover all the loot. And I can quickly run through a few of the obvious targets. Those who are keeping our $2 million under the guise of coming to deliver a sky train, and you heard the chief whip talk about it, and failed to deliver, they should very quickly, as soon as the election results are announced, if they don't want oral officials, Operation Recover All Loot officials, and I'm lobbying hard to be part of that team.
I want to be part with
Basitali, as my deputy. We are lobbying very hard. If they don't want any trouble with the Ghanaian people, they should just prepare to refund our $2 million for that very dubious SkyTrain project. You are even struggling with your railways, land. You are nowhere. And then suddenly, you say you are moving into the skies. Just a scam. Then those shonky sheikhs who came here, that they are coming to give us Sputnik V vaccines. And the former health minister, Ajimamenu, said COVID, he was so confused, he wasn't thinking straight. So he allowed those shonky sheikhs to deceive him. They should prepare. Our $2 million will have to be refunded. As to how a Russian-made vaccine, we could be roaming, the Akufo-Addo government could be roaming in Dubai for sheikhs to provide those vaccines, remains a mystery. Then Carrie Summers, who is keeping our $6 million under that National Cathedral scam, he should also prepare to refund that money. Ejapa, $12 million. Pualugu, $11.9 million. Motor Angels, $2.5 million. And all of those SML. The ambulance spare parts, the president's daughters and their business partners and all those people, they should just better, and if they start negotiating now to refund the monies, even before the election, it will really, really help them. We are passionate about Operation Recover or Loot. We mean every part of this. Every single letter has meaning. Don't forget that it will also affect the land looters, those who have engaged in state capture, and I'll be coming to that. We are also pledging that we will launch a forensic audit and an inquiry into the National Cathedral scandal and seek broad consensus on what should happen to what is described now as the world's most expensive pit. We are talking about over 339 million Ghana cedis. That's just our tax monies alone. I have not added what they collected from churches, unsuspecting Christians and others. Their U.S. operations and all of that. Just our taxes, $58.1 million, over 339 million Ghana cedis. And all we see, if you read Bishop Dakeward Mills' resignation letter, he said his conscience will not allow him to continue to serve on the board. He has built greater churches for far less than $58.1 million. We have spent $58.1 million, and all he kept seeing is a pit, which I'm told is now described as the world's most expensive pit. There will be a full-scale inquiry. Then don't forget all the demolitions that occurred because of this National Cathedral. So there are so many aspects to this puzzle. That double identity pastor who's also keeping at 2.6 million cedis, Kusi Boateng, Kwabena Edu-Jemfi, all of those parts of this hydra-headed scandal will have a special inquiry on that. I mean, when you deceive God, you deceive the clergy, and you deceive the Ghanaian people, you must face a special consequence for that. And you can expect that the next NDC government will do just that. The manifesto also pledges that there will be forensic audits into all the scandals that have occurred. And it's a tall list. So you name them, whether it's the COVID-19 management scandal, SML, Ijapa, Masset, PDS, Skytrip, Pualugu, appearance fees, the ambulance spare parts, the illegal sole source contract, all of them. It's been a government, Cecilia Dapa, it's been a government of one day, one scandal. We will go into all of them. On our campaign trail, we meet many people who tell us that we are voting for you just because of accountability. And that is why our manifesto is resetting Ghana for jobs, accountability, and prosperity. So accountability is key. The others are running away from accountability because they have been neck deep in plunging us into this quagmire. We are going to demand accountability. Our manifesto also is proposing to ruthlessly end the menace of Galamsey, which poses an existential threat. As we speak, Ghana Water Limited have put out statements that at this rate, in the next few years, we'll have to import water. They say the Pra River is gone. The turbidity levels are at a level that does not even allow them to treat water. So as we speak, central western region, parts of Greater Accra, water crisis. Only the NDC manifesto is pledging a ruthless combating of this menace, which poses an existential threat. Clearly, when you listen to the Western Regional Minister, you listen to MPP parliamentary candidates and MPP stalwarts, their regional chairman and all of that, they are complicit. They are neck deep. And I listened to Mr. Erastus Donko this morning, and he said that, look, it is the ruling party officials who have just made this fight worthless and useless because they are complicit. They are the real people who are behind the Galamsey menace. You need a new government that will come and confront this menace because it doesn't make sense. A whole government with a national security apparatus. You have dissect, MISEX, RECSEX, all these security councils, DCs, regional ministers, police commanders, NIB officials, national security operatives, and all of them are saying that they are helpless because of unarmed Ghanaians. Even if they are armed, can they match the billions that we approve in Parliament every year for national security? And see where we are. See where we are. Look at how our river bodies are looking. Apart from the Volta River, all our rivers are gone because of Galamsey. A deceptive president who told us that he was putting his presidency on the line. Apparently, nothing was put on there. There was even no line. The NDC manifesto is also saying that we'll collaborate with the judiciary to establish a special court for persons whom adverse findings have been made against them by the Auditor General and Parliament. This has been a long-standing conundrum. What happens to those who are indicted by the Auditor General, and when they appear before PAC, and PAC also affirms those audit findings? What happens? There has been a lacuna for many years. Nothing really happens and they get away. If we are lucky and there are some, surcharging and retrievals by the Auditor General, then we get something back. The Auditor General, the Attorney General has not been prosecuting. We are saying that we are going to work with the judiciary to establish special courts just to deal with all of these people engaged in malfeasance, engaged in just financial diversions, blatant corruption, which is really bleeding this country. The next NDC government is also saying that we'll introduce legislation to usher in a new era of government scholarships. And I am particularly excited about this because as a former Deputy Minister for Education, working in the tertiary space, I saw how the scholarship regime was uncoordinated. So many scholarship points all over. The presidency has one. Under the scholarship secretariat, you have the GMPC, you have Cocoa Board, you have Get Fund, and it's scattered all over the place. We are saying that for the first time in this country's history, we are going to have one legislation to coordinate scholarship, bring all of them in one pool, and align them to national development. Should we be sending people out to go and do some kind of courses? I don't want to offend anybody. How does that really align with our national development? Where should we be? What are our human resource gaps in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 15 years? What should we do? You go to our districts, they tell you critical shortage of various professionals, and yet our national scholarship regime does not align with those needs. But worst of all, ladies and gentlemen, the corruption which has engulfed this country has also taken over scholarships. So you have politically exposed persons, ministers, MPs, government officials, top politicians, fighting with the vulnerable, poor vulnerable people in North Town, in Muprugu Yoyo, in Savlugu, in Adaklu, and elsewhere. Why and elsewhere? Brilliant but needy people. Fighting with top politicians, elite who are so endowed, who have resources. They are grabbing the scholarships for themselves. And we all know the story. One of them is out there campaigning. He didn't even show remorse. He has no shame. They are running meetings. Yes. So we are saying that the new law will totally prohibit politically exposed persons. You are not allowed, you can't benefit. If you are a government minister serving under President Mahama, you, your wife, your children cannot benefit. No appointee can benefit from scholarships. We are going to have a law and it will be clear. And they think we don't know what they have introduced. For the first time in this country's history, you have Goro boys around scholarships, where people now have to pay. They come to us always. We get the petitions. We know in Parliament, the Chief Whip is here. We have been petitioned. Goro boys, if you don't pay, how can brilliant but needy people come up with 80,000, 100,000, 120,000 cities? I mean, the corruption, it has no limits. It has no conscionable levels. Even poor, vulnerable people, they are exploiting them So we are saying that, look, enough of this madness. We are going to have a new law to regulate scholarships and make sure that the scholarships are reserved for the poor, the vulnerable, needy but brilliant, and those who are going to pursue courses that align with our strategic national development objectives. Then we are also saying that we are going to wage a ruthless war against state capture. We are going to have a new piece of legislation that will prohibit politicians from buying state assets. We have had enough. Enough is enough. Cabinet ministers wanting to buy our hotels. Some of them die in their will. You see our forests in their will, our Ramsar site. They are willing it to wafase forever and all of that. We are saying enough is enough. We are going to ban all politicians from buying state assets. Then this part of the legislation also excites me. The legislation is going to make it compulsory for Ghana to have a national assets register. So all our lands will be on that register. You have heard us in Parliament. It is, and fortuitously, it was the Honorable Agboja who asked that question in February 2022, more than 2.5 years ago, asking the lands minister the state of our public lands, who they have sold to, how much they sold it for, if any are left. Up to now, it's been such a tussle. They say they don't have the data. They don't really. They are still compiling and all of that. It's a tedious exercise. Yeah. And yet, anytime they want to sell, they know where the lands are located to sell. They know where the bungalows are to demolish them and sell the land. We have been asking Works and Housing Minister, how many bungalows do we have in Ghana? They can't tell us. Those of you who follow the proceedings of the Assurances Committee. So we are saying that enough of that. We are going to have a national asset register. Everything that belongs to Ghana belongs to the Ghanaian people, you and I. Whether hotels, forests, Ramsar sites, lands, cars, everything, it will be on that register. And then all of us can protect it. The reason why some of these politicians don't want to have this register, don't want to publish the list, is because they don't know, they don't want you to know what is a state asset, so that when they are selling them off cheaply, you will not be able to know. And for those of you who have followed our latest exposés, if you think that these policies are not important, just follow our latest exposés and see what we are losing. Did you follow the latest expose on the cantonment lands? The lands at Lawales, AU village. You saw how cheaply they sold them. Can you believe cantonment land? They were selling a plot for just 183,000 Ghana cedis. Can you believe that? And if you see the top officials, I've published the list. Nobody can challenge that list. Kate Jemfua, she bought hers 31st August 2022. The MPP Women's Organizer. Ibrahim Mohammed Awad, then Minister of Tourism, 30th November 2020. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Enes Yedu Addison, 31st August 2022. LC Ado Awaji, Deputy Governor, 27th August 2020. Maxwell Opoku Afari, Deputy Governor, Bank of Ghana. He bought his from President Akufo-Addo, 31st August 2022. Joseph Boahi Edu, the CEO of Cocobod, bought his from the President, 30th October 2020. Dr. Janet Ampedu Fofie, Chairperson, Presidential Emoluments Committee, also bought hers from President Akufo-Addo on 29th June 2022. Kwabna Mante Jektenyako, Board Member, Ghana Airport Company, President Akufo-Addo's appointee, bought his from President Akufo-Addo on 22nd October 2022. His Excellency Anselm Rasford Ajete Sowa, Ghana's High Commissioner to Canada, also bought his from President Akufo-Addo on 14th October 2020. Anna Asare Odro, former MPP Women's Organizer, Holland Chapter, bought hers from President Akufo-Addo on 25th February 2021. Ken Oforiatta's Enterprise Assurance. You know Ken Oforiatta doesn't miss out. Enterprise Assurance.
Insurance?
Enterprise Life Assurance. Ken Oforiatta's Enterprise Life Assurance. 15 December 2023 is when he grabbed his from his cousin. This was a family affair. Then you have Georgina Wood on the list. 50 October 2020, you have the President's appointed board chairman at SIC at the time, 14th October 2020, Kwesi Abuaje Etua. You know, this is what is going on. And if you see how much people are paying, 183,752 Ghana cedis, so less than $11,000. Meanwhile, on the market, the open market, they are telling me that it's between $700,000 and 1 million Ghana cedis for a plot. Dollars, pardon me. $700,000 to $1 million. So, if you look at the exchange rate, they are grabbing this for less than $11,000. This is pure donkomi, what they call donkomi. It's just a giveaway. And what makes matters worse, they don't advertise. Nobody hears about it. If I tell you how many MPP people have called me, top, that, so this thing, so are they still selling? How do they even sell? I mean, how come some of us, we are also in the government, we don't hear about it? You know, even some of their own members. So this is tight, you know, knit. This is, insider is real kokofu. They won't pass you. You won't hear about it, you know. We are saying that enough is enough. We are going to prohibit and abolish all of these things. I'm going to run through quickly so that we can take your questions. For journalists, we are also heavy on your welfare. We are saying that we are going to repeal all anti-press freedom laws and reverse the current climate of fear, intimidation, harassment, and safety, as well as broadening the frontiers of media freedoms and development. So all of those anti-press freedom, that press freedom legislation they've been using in the name of you have caused fear and panic and others, and then you are picked up by national security. Remember what your colleagues Caleb Kuda and others went through. Manasseh Azuri had to flee this country on 2 occasions, to South Africa and to Germany. We are saying that we are going to stop that. We'll revisit the Media Development Fund so that working with GJ, the NMC, you can get financial support to enhance your career. So we are not going to be bribing journalists so that they can't carry out their work fearlessly and advance the cause of democracy as operators in the fourth estate of the realm. We will transparently have a media development fund which will seek your welfare. And we've done it before in our last government. We're going to do that again. Working with your leaders, your fraternity, will have a very transparent mechanism of assessing the fund. Then we also say we are going to reopen investigations into the major unresolved cases, including the Ayawaso West Wogon election violence, the 2020 election killings. And you've noticed that it's one of the very solid grounds that our national chairman and national executives have provided the Peace Council, 6 grounds, and top amongst them, the 2020 election killings. There ought to be justice. And we are saying that we will not forget about the families, the relatives of those 8 people who were killed. We will reopen investigations, and those who did that must face the full rigors of the law, including other unresolved murders. Your colleague Ahmed Hussein Swale, it's become a cold case. The government doesn't appear interested. We are going to reopen that. Others like Silas Wolochame, who was killed under very gory circumstances. We're going to reopen all of those killings. The next item, as I prepare to run up, we are also saying that we are going to amend the Public Procurement Act to stop the abuse of single sourcing. And we mean this. Those of you who have read the 2023 Auditor General's report on cocoa roads, you will be most scandalized. The Auditor General discovered that the Akufo-Addo government, who in opposition, promised, and they put out statements, tweets, Facebook posts, that the era of single sourcing, sole sourcing, is coming to an end. Will you believe that it is now rather the dominant procurement method? The Auditor General discovered that 87% of cocoa road contracts were single source. Can you believe that?